What is up, Titan Nation? How is it going? Thank you guys for joining me on this Saturday night. I got a little different setup than usual. I'm actually at my office at work and didn't have time to get home and get the show set up when I wanted to. And we have a special guest. He's always special coming on this show, but it's James Wheeler, aka Titans for Life. He will bring us his expertise, his knowledge, his inside news. So excited about that. We got a good show planned for you guys. Like I said, usually I got all my lights and my Titan stuff in the background, but I just honestly I didn't have time to get it set up tonight. I stayed like 30 minutes late at work, and so I'm currently in my office. So, anyways, let's get the intro rolling, and we'll bring James in. So tighten up, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and tell your friends that we're live now. Tell all your Titans buddies that we're live and come to join the show. So tighten up.
Oh, how y'all doing? This is Jalen Fly, aka the Mountain Mover. Make sure y'all follow my movement. But in the meantime, check us out. I need y'all to like and subscribe because this is Titans Rising. Oh, let's go.
All right, let's get James in here. What's up, friend? I think you're muted.
Sorry.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Hey, how y'all doing over there? It's been an interesting week. Yeah, I've been on the phone. I've been on the phone pretty much off and on all day. So when you see me drinking, it's a little bit of dry mouth from talking so much.
Yeah, I know you've been busy, man. I know you've had some things going on. You've been busy, but you know, the draft is coming upon us. You know, we're finally getting some action. You know, a lot of I've gone through so many mock drafts, and I've been doing this series on Twitter today, or the last like 5 days. I started like 5 days ago, where I've released a mock draft every single day, and I'm going to do that until the draft. And what my hopes are, James, is that I will at least get one or two picks right within about the 20 mock drafts that I'm doing. So,
Oh,
because it's, trying to predict a mock draft, a draft in its own right is darn near impossible.
yeah.
But trying to predict a Titans draft, I mean, that's like throwing salt on the wound over and over again.
Yeah.
Let's kind of bring that up, and shout out to everybody in the chat. We'll get to your comments here in a second. Let's bring up this. Here's something that's been on my mind the last couple of days, and maybe you can bring some clarity to this. The offensive line, something we haven't really addressed, or we have addressed it. That's the confusing part. So you got the right tackle thing going on. Quesenberry's obviously out. Then you got the left guard thing going on. But I'm hearing things that, they're gonna buy. I read an article, I think it was Jim Wyatt, where he said that, is it Jamarcus or Jamarco? Jamarcus Jones?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, either one. Y'all let us know in the chat. But
Mr. Jones, he's a pretty big dude.
Jones, Brewer, and Radens could battle it out for the left guard position. Or Radens could go to the right tackle position, which we've talked about on the show many times. What are they doing? What do you think they're doing? Are they going to draft a right tackle? Like, are they going to use Radens at guard? Like,
Well, I think there's a couple of problems with using Radens at guard or right tackle. Radens at right tackle is when he played, he was highly ineffective. I think that's just because he's played left tackle so much over his life that it's really difficult to change you're doing everything with the opposite hand. It was just like I said, if you're right-handed, try writing left-handed. See how long
yeah.
it takes you to get good at it. At guard, I don't I'm not so sure that he would make a really good guard. Just to be honest with you. If you were in a different type of offense, yeah, where you pull your guard a lot, where there's a lot of guard pulls, a lot of things like that, I think he would make a good guard then. But at this point, in the Titans offense, the way it's just kind of like a downhill type of offense, it's very difficult for him to be that guard. Um, he's got to get the technique right. He his base is a kick base. He does a lot of at tackle you do a lot of kick base type stuff, which means that your leg goes immediately on the left side. Your left leg goes immediately out, right? Because you're kick blocking to the outside a little bit, and then you're collapsing in. So in a guard position, you don't really do a lot of that because your kick is backwards at the tackle position. At guard position, you're coming forward a lot more. So I'm not so sure how he would fare at the left guard position. We need to see him play. I need to see have they been coaching him up on that? Has he been preparing for that type of stuff? Now, what the Titans I think are doing is they're trying to get a little younger on that offensive line. So, that's just my opinion. They're trying to get a little younger, because the Patriots did it that way. They kind of stayed relatively young. As guys got older, they bring in other guys that were younger, and they keep a nice young offensive line. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to repeat that type of thing. So I think that they're going to focus on the draft. I think they're going to bring in some veterans, maybe some guys who later on, once they see how their draft goes and the compensation that they have to pay for the draft and where they stand when it comes to the cap. Of course, there's things you can do to manipulate the cap a little bit, but um, that's where I think they're going. If they're going to concentrate on that. I think they're going to have to do something at the right tackle position, because the right tackle position last year was pretty bad,
Yeah.
and the right guard position was, I'm not going to say bad, but it wasn't great,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to win a Super Bowl. You have to have great guard and great tackle play. Now, at the left tackle position, um, I think that they kind of stand pat there. Uh, I think that we've got a couple of years of Taylor Lewan being productive. Yeah, he comes with a very big cap number and he comes with a very big salary number, but at the same time, you know what you got. You know he's going to maul somebody half to death. Even when he's injured or not 100%, he's still going to play effectively. So I think that is where the Titans are with him. I think they would like to see his number this year be a little bit more friendly, but I just don't think if they were going to release him, they would probably have already done so and put a
Yeah.
designation on him like they did with Julio.
Um, yeah, and that is a good point. I see that as well. I think I mean, this is probably, I don't know if this would be at the left tackle Luan's last year or not. I mean, I guess a lot of it has to do with how healthy he's going to be,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, and all
Yeah.
that. The good thing about this draft is there are quite a few. It's a pretty deep draft for offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I mean, you could potentially pick up like, I know Nate Davis had a down year last year, but you could potentially pick up a guy, maybe a guard or whoever in the third round, something like that, that could possibly be a starter for you. I've seen a few
Mhm.
guys out there. There's some good tackles in the
Mhm.
draft too. You got Trevor. Penning, obviously Evan Neal and Charles Cross are not going to
Yeah.
fall to us, or probably Equano either. But there are some guys in the draft who, who could do some things in the NFL. Do you know a lot about the Trevor Penning guy?
Well, Penning is one of these guys that I find interesting. He can play more than one position, which makes him valuable. So I don't think he makes it past probably 18, maybe 20, somewhere around there. So I don't see us getting him. I I have every one of the guys, every one of the guys who I've seen offensive line wise when it came to this year's draft have really, they really excel at one thing or another, but they don't excel at, everything. So they have holes in their game. And this is one of the few drafts that I've ever seen where there are guys, some of these guys in the first round in some years would be late first round, early second round type guys that are going to go pretty high in the draft just because while there's depth, there's also issues with a lot of these guys. So I mean, I've seen some film on what's the kid out of I say kid, he's a grown man now. But the guy out of was it
Uh,
Miami?
Tackle
Yeah,
Kenyon Green, maybe.
yeah. Well, I think I can't remember, but I
No,
saw
he's
some.
out of Texas A&M.
No, who's the guy? I think it's out of it's one of the Florida schools I was watching some stuff on him in from the combine, and he looked really good. It's just he had a bad first step, um, and that's something that you saw last year that hurt the Titans a lot. Was in the Titans offense, your first step, especially if you're doing a second level type of blocking scheme where you're trying to get to that second level, that first step can kill you. If you're if you're cross blocking or down blocking or something like that, first step is devastating if you misread it or mishandle it, I should say. So I mean,
Yeah,
there's like I said, every guy that you look at in the draft that I've looked at so far on the offensive line has a issue at
yeah,
some point in his game. But, some of these issues are easily overcome with good coaching. Some of them are going to be a little bit more difficult to overcome with coaching, but you're going to be able to pick them up later in the draft, depending on what you want to do in the draft. I mean, the Titans have a lot of thinking to do of where they want to draft someone and when they want to draft and who they want to draft at that position. So that's why I think everybody's having a hard time with the draft. And the fact that this is a weird year where you're going to end up with a lot of people on 1 year deals, you're going to end up with a lot of players on 1 year deals, makes next year even more intriguing to me than this year, to be honest with you.
yeah. Yeah, it definitely is an intriguing year. It's for the draft too, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of these guys who are um quarterbacks that are, and we'll get into that. I do want to get to the comments real quick before I go on
Okay.
that spill. So we've had 17, 20 people in here, so tighten up that like button for us. Go check out James's channel, Titans for Life, on YouTube. He's the newest member of the Titan Upload Network. Not really a new member anymore because he's been for a while, but check out his channel for sure. We're going to keep bringing you guys content. I know I haven't been putting out as much as I have in the past, but we're starting to get it on more of a scheduled basis now. And Titan Upload had a show last week, so we do appreciate your support. It's been awesome. So I'm going to scroll back, get to some of these comments, and some people are already asking the title of the video, but we'll get to that later. And I think James has got an interesting take on it, so you guys will just have to hold on for that for a little bit. Tighten Up says this is our last year to win it. I think a lot of people think that way. Mark Jones is in the house. What's up, Mark? Titan Pratt's in the building. Mark says the Titans window is wide open. We have the best defense in football. King Henry is back. Woods, Hooper upgrades, offensive ton. And I do agree that we could potentially have one of the best defenses in football. I mean, I think, and you can expand upon this too if you want, but I think, with everybody coming back, you got a healthy Dupree, who wasn't really healthy coming into last season. Yet, I think this potentially could be, depending on what happens at corner with Farley or whatever they do there. I think they're going to bring in a veteran. You can touch on that. But is this a top 5 defense going into next season?
I think so, as long as we can stay healthy. Especially to me, the question marks are at corner. Can we stay healthy at corner? That becomes the big question mark for me. If we can stay healthy at corner, you might be looking at top 3.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's going to be difficult to throw. I think Fulton is the guy who we can depend on. You know what I'm saying? When he's out there and healthy, I think he's going to be the man. So I mean, I think we have the core of a really good cornerback group. The problem is that they haven't been healthy. They haven't all been healthy at the same time to play together. And somebody's going to have to step in that leadership role now that Jenkins is gone. A lot of people talk about his play and how he was inconsistent his play was, but one thing that he was very consistent in is that he was in that cornerback room, and he was the unquestioned leader in that cornerback room. So now you're having to replace not only his production at times, which sometimes it wasn't very good and sometimes it was outstanding, but you're having to replace that leadership role, that vacuum that's going to be created by that. So are we a top 5? Yes. If we're healthy at corner all season, I think we're a top 3.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And having that nucleus, that defensive line nucleus back is awesome too. I'm really excited to see those guys. I'm excited to see a healthy Dupree. And you're right. I mean, corner is going to be kind of the main thing because obviously Jack Rabbit's gone. I thought Jack Rabbit played better towards the end of the season. With the offense, I'm still very hesitant because this is what we did last year, right? We got Julio, the way the offense was the year before, the offense was really good and the defense was terrible, so we're thinking, okay, we got Julio now, everybody on ESPN, most people were like, oh, they're going to be unstoppable, and this and that. Well, you never know what's going to happen in the NFL with injuries, with everything else. And injuries just plagued us. I mean, it was just the offensive line was giving up a lot of sacks. Tannehill didn't have time to throw. I mean, it was just Tannehill digressed some too, and I think it was just the offense in a whole. And I'm not going to sit here and badger Tannehill the whole show or nothing like that because I just feel like, if he had a better offensive line, things could have been different as far as pass protection. So I'm kind of hesitant to Mark on your comment. I'm kind of hesitant to really say like, oh gosh, this offense is going to be great because obviously there's a lot of questions. I mean, is Austin Hooper, is he still as good as he was? Can Woods come back from the ACL? He's going to be 30 at the start of the season. I think he can. I think he will because he's not been injury plagued too much in his career. Yeah. But there's a lot of question marks. I think the defense, we can pretty much say, I think the defense is going to be really good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
going to be better than last year, I think, no question. And last year's defense towards the end of the season was, man, they were unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
that
I think we had the
playoff.
best. I think we had the best linebacking core in football,
Yeah, I
hands
agree.
down. I don't think there's anybody that's even close.
And that defense in the playoffs, well, the one
Mhm.
playoff game, I honestly believe. I mean, other than them giving up the pass to Chase, I really don't blame them though, just because they were on the field the whole game.
Yeah.
They had 9 sacks. I mean, that was a Super Bowl caliber defense. It
Oh
is
yeah.
just a shame. That's why so many people were pissed at Tannehill.
And think
Anyway,
that team hadn't. That team had that group as a group hadn't played that many games together.
yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
no, you're right, man. You're right. And he didn't have any receivers most way on the offense through the
yeah.
season and all that. I mean, it was just one thing after the other. We'll get to some more here. Let me scroll back here. Al Pierce is in the building. Oilers
Hey,
struck himself. So what's up, Al? We need to get together soon, Al. Sammy D says we're getting gooder on offense. Gooder. I like that. So Kent Woods has made an appearance. He went ghost for a long time, but he's back. So Kent was pretty upset about he was with us, remember, at the
yeah.
playoff game. He was pretty upset, still is pretty upset, but maybe we're pulling him back in. Come back, Kent. Come back. So no, I love you, brother. Give me a call sometime. Sorry I hadn't answered your call the other day, but I'll give you a call tomorrow sometime. But he says since Matthews they couldn't win a Super Bowl and it's not happening for the Titans. So you could see Kent is still sour. Well, we'll see.
Oh
We'll see what happens. Tony Party, what's up, man? He says tighten up. Titans torch. He's in the building. He says you're bound to get one pick right if you do 100 mocks. That's the goal, Titans torch. So, and y'all check out Titans torch on Twitter. He posts some awesome stuff. And thanks for coming in here. Holly Winchell, big supporter of the network. She's in the building. What's up, Holly? She knows
hey,
a
Ollie.
ton about football. I think are you a Chiefs fan, Holly? I can't remember. I thought Upload said that, but she's always in our shows. Grandizer's in the building. What's up, Grandizer? And we got a lot of comments, man. BB15 says we don't have Bobby Hart. Now I think Bobby Hart's gone. Titan Fox, it's all right, man. We won't hold it against you this time. So let's see here. Travier's in the building. Tighten up. And all the usual suspects and some new ones. So I appreciate you guys coming in. DBS is in the building. 615 says I'd like to beef up that interior defensive line. Get Marquand Call out of Kentucky. He's 6'3", 380 pounds. Add him with Jeff and Nico. The average weight of the defensive interior would be 316 pounds. So the 615 has done his math on the body weights. That would be a big line. That's a big dude. 380 pounds. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Sin City Titans says good season, good off season so far, if you ask me. So I wanted to bring up, like I said, the quarterbacks in this draft because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of rumors going on about the Titans and quarterbacks. Some people are even saying that they're going to pick a quarterback in the first round if the right one falls to them. You got guys like Ritter, who the Titans are pretty high on. I know they've visited, I think, with Carson Strong, with even Bailey Zapp, which I hope we don't get Bailey Zapp. If it is like 4th, 5th round. But what do you think? Do you have any inside knowledge on this or any on this quarterback situation? Are they really considering this type of move?
Well, considering It depends on your definition of considering. I'm trying to walk a fine line here, because the considering, yes, I mean, you're always considering a quarterback, always. I mean, there are two people that touch the ball on every offensive snap, or nearly every offensive snap. One's your center, and the other's your quarterback. So you're always trying to find that next guy. You're always trying to find that upgrade. So if you put on your GM hat, yes, you're always considering a quarterback. But I think the Titans have um, needs that are greater at this point. Um, one of them being that offensive line. Look, I mean, I don't care. You could be the best quarterback in the history of quarterbackdom. I just made up a word. Um,
I
and
like it.
it doesn't matter if you've only got a second and a half to throw the ball. It
Yeah.
really does not matter. Now, so one of the things that when you look at some of the great quarterbacks throughout history, one of the things that you always notice is they had a pretty good offensive line. So we've got to get a better offensive line. Um, if not for Tannehill, then for Derrick Henry, because there's been lots of times where he's gotten hit in the backfield, but he's just so big and strong, he just overpowers whoever's hitting him. So and he keeps on going. So uh, I don't know what they're going to do. I do think that they need another receiver. Woods is great. I think he's gonna be a good compliment and all of that. But you can never have enough really good wide receivers.
Yeah.
If we would have had more good wide receivers last year, I think we would have been a better team last year, because when your most consistent guy who can get on the field is NWI, there's a problem. I mean, he was the guy that was, he was the most consistent guy on the field because he was able to play. Um, the most important ability in the NFL is availability, and if that's the case, we did not have receivers that were available.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing the Titans need to look at. I think another thing the Titans kind of need to start thinking about is, probably safety. At some point, the Titans are going to have a change at safety, even though safety is playing really well at this point. At some point in time, you know, center is another issue that I think we've got to address, because we're getting a little long in the tooth there. And there's just a lot of things that I think the Titans are going to have to address. Um, but the thing is that it's not as many as it used to be with the Titans. What 7, 8 years ago, what do the Titans need? You could just write down every position. Now
Yeah.
you're writing down 2, 3 key acquisitions here or there. I do think tight end long term is something that they're going to have to kind of do. They're going to have to bite the bullet and take someone higher than they would normally take them, because they have to have a tight end that's young, that's going to be out there for several years.
And there's a tight end in this draft that I really really like, that I've been following, the Cole Turner guy out of
Oh,
Nevada.
yeah,
I just really like him, man. Like, I try and pick him in every mock draft because he falls to like the 5th round.
yeah.
So he's just somebody like I think will be a steal. He's somebody I've been keying in on. So we'll see what happens. But no, I mean, there are probably some better tight ends, obviously. Let's get to some of these comments here. Let me scroll back, and thank you guys again for tuning in. And like I said, I know my background's a little different. I'm actually in my office at work. It's pouring rain down here, and I just figured instead of starting late, I would just set up in my office. So that's what I'm doing. So but yeah, we got us a good little setup here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Um, let's see. Kent says definitely not coming back Definitely no chance of me coming back as a fan. I'm done with the Titans. I'm just supporting you. Well, as long as you support me, Kent, then we're all good, brother. I love you, man.
Kent, we got to bring you back off the ledge. It's
Yeah.
okay.
It's like Scarface, you know. They keep bringing me back in. Or was that Godfather? I think it was
I think that was
Godfather.
Godfather. I think it was
Yeah.
the third one.
Every time I
Yeah,
leave, they keep bringing me
bring me
back
back
in or
in.
something.
Yeah.
Holly says, let's see. Oh yeah, and any team Tom Brady is on. Oh, she's talking about her being a Chiefs fan. I guess she's a Brady fan too. Titan Base said we need to draft a wide receiver round one. Hooper hasn't been good since Atlanta. Can't rely on Woods and AJ if they get re-injured. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think Hooper's been decent. I don't think he's, I wouldn't say he hasn't been good, but he's not. Yeah, I mean, Hooper came out the gate like really quick, like he when he was with Atlanta, like he was awesome. He had the stiff arm play. Actually, let's go ahead and play it. I think I have it on here. This was in Atlanta. So this was 5 years ago. And I got a lot of flack on Twitter for posting this because they're like, oh, it's 5 years ago. But still, it's only 5 years ago. I mean, the guy's got to still have some stuff left in the tank. But here's the 88-yard stiff arm of Hooper.
3rd down and 3. Ryan, pressure, in trouble, lets it fly deep, wide open is Austin Hooper. Now it's a foot race. Stiff arm against Dents. Hooper is gonna go. Touchdown. 88 yards.
So some would say that's Hooper's better years, but I mean, I think he's still a good tight end. The knock on him is, from what I've read and from a lot of comments from Browns fans, is he has a tendency to jump for the catch when he doesn't need to jump.
Yeah.
And he falls down when he catches it. Like he always falls down, which is kind of weird, like he doesn't continue the route or running or after he catches. It's kind of weird, but hopefully the Titans sometimes that just has to do with having the right coach or something, hopefully they can coach him up. I don't even know who is the Titans tight end coach. I don't even know who that is. Maybe you guys know in the comments, but
well, what I think a lot
know.
of people are misunderstanding about the Titans scheme when it comes to the tight end is we don't need a world beater. We don't need a guy who's going to run 85 yards, do 12 stiff arms. That's not the Titans' offense.
Yeah.
We need a guy who can catch the ball down the middle of the field, get that first down, keep those chains moving, and we don't need him to do it all the time. We need him to be able to do it when we need him to do it. I mean, you've got AJ Brown. You need somebody that's going to pressure that safety into coming up and actually having to play defense on the tight end.
Yeah.
That's the Titans offense. And then AJ Brown go over the top. That's how, that's how we play. Um, and so pressuring that seam route, which is typically, tight ends will run like a seam route, or they'll run kind of a flat or something like that to kind of get in space. You don't really need him to do, um, a Travis. He doesn't need to be a Travis Kelsey. He needs to be dependable when we throw him the ball. He catches the ball and gets those yards.
Yeah.
Um, so people who are coming out, well, that was 5 years ago, but yeah, but he can still get that 7, 8 yards when we need 7 or 8 yards for a first down. When we need when we're 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, we need that guy that can sneak out of there and catch that ball. And yes, Mark, I have heard some interesting things about the Titans um, looking at Valus Jones.
Yeah.
He is he's an interesting guy. He's not highly rated amongst a lot of the agencies, but um, I think he's better than what most people are giving him credit for. He is a very good possession type of receiver, and he's got hands for days. I think he could catch a BB blindfolded in the dark room.
Yeah, he's something to a lot of people are talking about this kid, man, and he ran a freaking let me see if I can share the screen here. So yeah, Valus Jones, I mean, he ran a 4.3140 at the
Yeah.
combine. So he's definitely intriguing, 6'0", 6 feet tall, 203 pounds. He's got
He is an ideal number 2 receiver, to be honest with you. He really is.
yeah,
If you're looking for a number 2 receiver, you're looking at as a guy who's around 6 foot tall, who runs a 4.3, 4.4 40. Good hands. He's an ideal number 2 receiver, and I think that's the reason why most places have him going 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. I don't think he makes it to the 4th round, just to be honest with you. I think
yeah.
he gets taken in the 3rd.
Let's see some of his attributes here. Strengths: fits his own system, can sift through oncoming traffic, explode through tiny creases and cut back lanes. Elite darting, stop and go acceleration with elite track speed. Dangerous in the open field. An amazing kick punt returner who could be drafted as a special teamer. Has decent hands and an NFL wide receiver coach and quarterback would covet. He tracks the ball. That's another thing, tracking the ball. That's what I've heard a lot. Plays fast and confident. Has rare suddenness with lightning footwork. An impressive athlete with very quick acceleration. Does a nice job locating, tracking deep passes. Good effort and technique as a blocker. So, I mean, he sounds like like a darn good talent. Some of his weaknesses, doesn't always use his hand to secure deep throws. A very old player. I've heard this too. A very old player that who will be 25 by the time he takes the field. That's interesting. Has a very limited route tree. Has a very limited production as a receiver throughout his college career, the exception of 2021. So yeah, I mean the knock on him is he's a little old,
Well, when it comes to the route tree thing, it was just that was just Tennessee's offense. That's what they asked him to do.
Yeah.
Um, I think his route tree abilities are better than what most people think, just because he was asked to run specific routes, because that was what Tennessee's offense was based on. It was based on your number 1 and number 2 receiver running very specific routes all the time.
Yeah.
So I think he's a guy who, if I draft him, if I'm the Titans, I draft him in the 3rd round. I spend some time with him, um, seeing where he is in his development. I mean, at 25, yeah, he's an older receiver, but at the same time, I don't think he makes as many rookie mistakes because he's mature. You know, I don't think you're going to read about him in the newspaper being out at partying at 3 o'clock in the morning because he's an older guy. He's
Yeah.
been there, done that. So,
Remember the guy, Kelly Washington?
oh yeah, yeah.
He was like 25 or 26 when he came
Yeah.
out of he had a couple decent seasons, I think. I want to say he got drafted by the Steelers. I think he had some decent, game in the NFL from what I remember. I don't think he was ever like a superstar, but he was amazing at Tennessee. I mean, he was, and I think he was a walk on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't need. I mean, you've already got a superstar, right? And he's going to demand
Right.
double coverage. Now, let's say you draft Valus Jones. You have Hooper at tight end. Let's say you've got Woods at receiver. Now, not you can't double team them all. And so you're going to leave, the rookie out there by himself, man to man on somebody, and it's going to be your third receiver. It's going to be your third corner or your nickel corner. Well, guess what? He's bigger than most nickels. He's faster than most corners, and he's a good catching receiver. So that's what I mean. Like I said, he is a number 2 receiver. I don't think he'll ever be a number 1 receiver just because of his size, but he does have elite speed. So
Yeah.
when you look at that, I think he fits the Titans offense as a number 3 coming in and then a number 2 later.
Yeah, that's yeah, I agree with you there. And Holly with the $20 super chat. She's freaking awesome. I appreciate it. She said, "No way, I need to defend myself. I said I'm a Chiefs fan, but the Titans and Colts are my second, third fave AFC teams. I'm not a hater of any team except sometimes Cowboys, Broncos, and Raiders, and any team Tom Brady is on." I agree with you, the Tom Brady thing. Definitely, I'm a hater of the Ravens and the Colts for sure. I think those are the two teams I probably can't stand the most. And we'll see what happens with their next Super Bowl quarterback and Matt Ryan. So Al says our chance for getting a top wide receiver will depend on what falls to us. If they go early, we may have a shot at a top offensive tackle. If not, we'll probably trade back to game picks. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with it. Just depends on how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. But you
TSR
also have
video.
to have a trade partner. So you have to have somebody who wants somebody at that spot.
Yep. You're right. TSR video says tighten up. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Means a lot to me, means a lot to the network as a whole. And go check out this guy over here next to me, Titans for Life on YouTube. He's been putting out fire content. So and he's we got this little thing going on the show here. So it's been a lot of fun. So go check him out for sure.
See, you're broadcasting from a new place. The Titans, I've heard and I've confirmed with 2 other people
Yeah.
that there are artistic renderings of concepts of a new stadium. That the Titans have artistic renderings of what some artists that they've paid for to come in and draw up something. Now these are not plans. These are what they would like it to look like or whatever. So it looks like and my understanding is a little bit more than 60% of the funding is already there,
That's what I've heard.
already in place.
I read somewhere. I need to go back and read it again. I read it while I was at work, but there was a particular source or family that was donating like 700 or $500 million or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's the Adams family is the
Oh,
ownership
okay.
group. Yeah, it's 700 million of their own money they're putting up, and then I believe the governor has stated that he can get 500 million from the legislature.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now
that's
it's a $2 billion stadium, so
yeah. Yeah, do the math. But man, could you imagine the stadium they're going to build? And I know I read too that the plans are for a retractable roof.
Yeah.
Because they want to have events like the Super Bowl, WrestleMania. I think if we have a new stadium like that, and it's with the stadiums they're making nowadays, this stadium's going to be incredible. And Nashville always does it big.
Yeah.
Especially now. I mean, Nashville, from when the Titans first came to now, Nashville is even way more different now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's exploded since they even came.
And check out the property prices. Oh Lord.
Oh, I know, it's insane, man. It's like it's crazy. So they're gonna make a stadium. It's just out of this world, and you best believe it that one day there will be a Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, one of the things that they were talking about was um that having mega concert events there too. You know,
Yeah,
that's one of the things that they really would like to have is some mega concert events working with the Country Music Hall of Fame to have major events there, working with some record labels to have events there, things like that.
yeah,
So the retractable roof thing, I don't think it's negotiable. I think it is one of those things that they want to have so they can have it in all weather. Um, and further, I was told that that new land would not have to be purchased. Apparently, they're going to build it on site.
yeah. I think right next to the
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's a
yeah.
perfect situation. I want to give a special shout out to Carrie. This is Tyler, Titans for Life, or not Titans for Life. This is Titans. Hey, this is your this is Titans Time podcast wife. So shout out to Carrie. They're awesome folks, good friends of mine, and go follow Titans Time podcast on YouTube and Twitter. Um, their link is in the description of this video. I have about 10 different YouTubers, Titans YouTubers, in the link to the description. So James's channel's in there, 615, Titan Pratt, all a bunch of people. So if you guys want to find good Titans content, just click the description to the video. There's a whole list. When we get done here, and just click on them. Kind of go give everybody a sub, man. Show some love to all these guys putting in work. Sin City Titan, my dude, he says I'm checking in from work. Y'all probably covered it, but do you think we will bring in more veteran help or just build with the draft? I don't think we covered the veteran help. I'll let you answer this one.
Yes,
All
and,
right.
and the answer is yes to both. Um,
Okay.
I think what the Titans are looking at is okay. Let's look at the draft, see what we get. Um, if we get what we need, then we'll bring in a little bit of that veteran help. If we don't get what we need, we're going to have to go out and get a lot of veteran help. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things where I think there you have to be kind of fluid, right? Um, because when you're set, oh, we're going to get this guy at this position, at this pick in the draft. Um, then you're handcuffed if someone else wants him to.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have this issue of if you go out and you get a veteran now, and the guy who you really wanted falls to you in the draft, now you're stuck with both. Or you're stuck with the veteran because you really can't afford to take the same position and then cut one. So you remember it's still the same 53-man roster. You still have those limitations. So this what's that? Oh, the next few years salary cap. It's not going to be an issue. The reason why this year was an issue is because of COVID. They had to cut the salary cap back, and then because they didn't cut the salary cap back where it should have been, they agreed. The players and the owners agreed that there would be a maximum dollar amount increase for this year, and that increase was 25 million. And guess what? It went 25 million. Next year, it's going to be where it should be because all that money would have been paid back
Yeah.
essentially. So next year, I mean, look for the salary cap to absolutely skyrocket, and that's why I kept saying over the last couple of shows that we've had that you look for a lot of guys to be on a lot of 1-year deals. And that's exactly what's happened in the NFL. A lot of these players are on a 1-year deal, and it's just because of the salary cap issue for this year. Next year, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I think it's going to be different for a lot of teams too. When Holly says, so probably a general question, but just want to get y'all's feelings about all weather stadiums and the taxpayers' expense associated. I have no idea when it comes to that stuff. I know that, like, you know, I want to. I if they make a stadium, I hope it's not like a set dome. I hope it is a retractable roof. I think if you're going to spend $2 billion, you could at least make it a retractable roof. But I don't know. You got any thoughts on that question from Holly?
It depends on how the structure of the deal is.
Yeah,
The structure of this deal would be a bond type situation where there's an authority that runs the stadium. And that authority, of course, is works very closely with the Titans. Um, you have to remember that a portion of the ticket sales go to pay that bond. The taxes go back to pay that bond. The revenue from the hotels, the restaurants, all of that kind of stuff goes back to pay that bond. Um,
yeah,
they're the way that they used to do it, the old ways, is that they would essentially just get the money. It's those deals are no longer structured that way. So because they're not structured that way, and the Titan Stadium has my understanding. Now, this is my understanding. If you look at the numbers, has paid for itself already from the last time there was a bond issue. So I don't think that's an issue when it comes to this. It just depends on how the state decides the structure, the state and the Titans organization structure the deal. Um, but everybody can make out like a bandit. I mean, think about these deals. Like it's Nissan Stadium. Well, Nissan pays a boatload of cash every year to the Titans and to um, the uh, uh, the authority that runs those stadiums. So the money comes back. It's just that it is a long period of time.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, Titan Fox, too. The retractable roof is an amazing advantage for us. We could choose the snow games, Derrick Henry, and avoid the bad rain ones. Yeah, I mean, we're for whatever reason we suck in bad weather. I don't know why. Um,
I just want to get out of the rain. I just want to be sitting in the
I
rain
know. I mean,
in
I'm cool.
November and
I'm cool
December.
with it, and I hope they work out something for the PSL holders. Like at least give them like a section or something where they can choose from that was similar to wherever they were last time. You're a PSL holder, um, right? So I mean, I don't know.
My wife's family, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how that's going to affect PSLs. They need to work out something though because people paid all this money for those PSLs, so you'd think they would at least. It looks like the amount of money that they're putting up privately. Maybe they could work out something. So,
Well,
um,
usually what happens with the PSL holders is they do get a discount on the on the new ones, but they still have to pay for a new PSL because the
yeah,
PSL is just for that stadium. So usually they do get some kind of discount just so they can remain PSL holders, but they will
yeah,
have to rebuy the PSL, and they usually try to make it to where you get approximately close to where you were.
yeah. So we'll go another like 10-15 minutes if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
So I do want to get to the topic of the video, and I know you had something you wanted to
Yeah.
share on it. So, and you guys let me know in the chat too. Is the Tennessee Titans Super Bowl window still open? And how long is that window? Is it just this year? Is it, we have hopefully, we extend AJ and we got Henry and I don't know about Tanny and all that, but you guys let me know in the chat, and James, I'm gonna let you take it away and give us your thoughts on this.
How long is the window for the Super Bowl? I would put our window just opening. I think last year and the year before were the first 2 years that we legitimately had a shot at the Super Bowl. Now, to be honest with you, Last year and the last 3 years have been legitimate shots. But I think um our window is just now opening. So I say our window is considering if they continue to draft relatively well, especially in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth rounds. If they continue to draft well in those rounds, um, I'll take the miss in the first round if we get starters in third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. I mean, I don't know who else would disagree with me on that, but if you know anything about building a football team, those are your money rounds. The first round are your splash rounds. The second round is this guy's going to be a starter at some point, we know. But if you hit in your third, fourth, fifth, sixth round and you end up with starters or significant role players, um, dude, you're going to be a Super Bowl contender. I think that as long as as long as Vrabel and John Robinson are here and Amy is controlling is controlling the buttons at top, I do not see us getting um, down. I see us only moving up.
Yeah. That's interesting, and I agree with you there. I mean, I think that with the way the cap could work out
Mhm.
next year, I mean, I hope we're Super Bowl contenders this year, but I mean, we might even have a better chance 2 years from now. But I hope we win the damn thing every year, So, um,
I was speaking with some players, some players and some other guys who in the media who were talking about some of these guys who went to the Pro Bowl who were like, man, I wish I could play in Tennessee.
yeah,
Vrabel was so awesome. John Robinson was down there and he was awesome. He was accessible. He was friendly, funny. Uh, just listening to those comments, and it's not just one or two guys. This is like 10, 15, 20 guys who all said the same thing, that players are like, this is a guy who I want to play for. When you get that reputation in the NFL and your organization gets that reputation in the NFL, hey, you know, some I don't know if you've ever done this. I have. I've taken pay cuts to go work at places that were better. Just emotionally, I didn't have to deal with going into work and dealing with, waking up in the morning going, oh God, I gotta work. As opposed to going, oh man, I'm going to work. See you, bye. you know, um,
yeah,
so it's the same way in the NFL. Some of these guys are getting up every morning going, God, I gotta go into work. I gotta deal with this guy again. And then, you got the Titans who are like, well, we're going to work. See you. And then, so that's how I've seen it. That's what I've been told. That's what I believe is the case, that these guys want to come here.
yeah, yeah, and that from the Pro Bowl and like how they, um, a lot of those guys did. I mean, with Vrabel coaching them and all that stuff, I think they saw you know how he reacts with the players. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't really see a coach in the league that's like Mike Vrabel.
No.
You know what I mean? And maybe I'm wrong just because I don't know every single coach and how they coach and everything. But as far as being hands on and like, I just don't see more of a player's coach other than Mike Vrabel. I don't know the guy in Pittsburgh, Tomlin.
Tomlin.
He's like a pretty
Yeah.
in
Players
tune with the
love him.
players. Yeah, and he's a great coach. But as far as hands on, getting out there, um, pushing defensive linemen, stuff like that. I just think I think we got an awesome coach in Vrabel. He's got some flaws, I mean, he makes every coach does. He makes some really weird decisions in games at times where it got you scratching your head and you're thinking, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, what's going on here? But I think what I like about Bravel is he takes chances.
Yeah.
Like he's not afraid to take a chance every so often, which I really like that in the coach. Titan Fox says Mike Tomlin and Andy Reid. Those are two guys.
Well, the difference between Mike Tomlin and Andy Reid and Vrabel is that Andy Reid is he's a player's coach, but he's not as hands on. He's not out there on the field moving guys around. He's telling them what they're doing wrong, and he's telling them how to fix it and that kind of stuff. But when you watch Mike Tomlin and you watch Mike Vrabel um, on the out there, they're out there grabbing the players. Oh, come here. This is how you do it, and then showing them physically how he wants them to, hit this block. Hands right here, and moving them around and actually letting them hit a little bit. They're not going to go out there and crush him or nothing, but thumping, what we used to call thump. Play to the
yeah.
thump. That's how those two guys coach, the Vrabel and Tomlinson. That's how they coach, and players like that. But as you do get older, you're not able to do that more and more. But these guys are pretty young guys for coaches, for head coaches in the NFL. They're pretty young.
Titan says I might be a fanboy, but I think we're the toughest team in the AFC. I think we are the
Yeah.
toughest team. If you want to go by toughness, if you want to go by look at all the injuries last season, I think we're a pretty darn tough football team. And I think that's indicative of Mike Vrabel, what you're talking about, and play till the last whistle type of mentality. Underdog, us against the
Yeah.
world mentality. That's one thing I love about Vrabel's teams is they give a lot of heart. You know what I mean? I think Vrabel would almost and J Rob too would almost want a guy that's more has a love for the game than somebody who might be even more talented. Um, I think they love those type of players.
Yeah. When I was at the Kansas City game, I was watching Vrabel. I, there was one time he got really, really ticked off about something defensively that had gone wrong, and he got really ticked off. And I thought he was just going to throw on some pads and go out there and show him how it was done on the field. I mean, he's that kind of guy, though. He gets, and then he'll kick you in the behind and then turn around and hug you and say, I still love you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where as a as a coach myself, sometimes you come down on the kid pretty hard, and then you come out, you come at him to let him know. And I tell him, there's certain ones who I know can take it, and I'll go up to him and say, look, when I start in on you today, because you're going to mess up, we all do. When I start in on you today, just know it's not about me coming down on you. I want everyone to hear this
Yeah.
and see this. And then after practice, I walk up to him, give him a hug, and say, "Hey, man, thanks for letting me use you as as kind of the whipping boy today. But hey, let's go get some ice cream or something. I'll buy you an ice cream or something like that." And
Yeah.
but you have to have that. You have to know that they have to know that they're accountable. Um, oh, here we go with Tannehill.
She said, I'm worried. She said, I'm most concerned. Well, I think a lot of us are, but hopefully, hopefully he can bounce back with the
I think
offensive line healthy and all that.
I think the Tannehill you saw last year is not the Tannehill you're going to see this year. Number one. Number two, I think he's going to be a lot better. Number two is if you're looking for a quarterback in this year's draft, don't bother. That's just my opinion. I think there are two in normal years. There would be two or maybe three first rounders.
Yeah.
It, the rest are serviceable guys. They're going to be serviceable guys in the NFL. They're going to be, around. What Ryan? They're going to be kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick's.
Yeah.
bounce around from team to team, play, be able to start for you here or there. But I just don't see that guy. When you
I
looked at
don't
Patrick
either really.
Mahomes, when you looked at Patrick Mahomes, you could see there was something more there.
Yeah.
There was something more there. You could just see by the way he walked, how he talked, how his teammates gravitated around him. Same thing with Russell Wilson. He goes from one school to another, starts at the new school. What was it? Where did he go? Um, didn't he leave? Where did he leave from? He left somewhere and then went. And then went to, and then goes into the NFL and just explodes. So
Yeah.
I mean, but you could see it. The interview with what's his name? He used to do the quarterback interviews on ESPN. Uh, oh
Sims?
no, coach. He was a coach. Got fired this year or resigned or whatever for some comments he made. I think uh, Raiders.
Oh,
uh,
Gruden.
Gruden. When he was in there and they did that interview with Gruden and Russell Wilson's in there and he's like in there they do these diagrams. He's doing these diagrams and stuff like that. And he goes, now in this offense is called this, and this offense is called this, and this offense is called this. And he was going through all of that and he was being able to go from one offense to the other and explain that this is what it's called. That's when I knew Russell Wilson this is a guy. This is
Yeah.
the guy. So I just don't see one of those in this draft. I see guys with arm talent. I see guys who are really smart, who can run. But I don't see the package that you see with those guys. You know,
Yeah.
I don't see any one of these quarterbacks that's the full package. I see them 75%, 80% of the package, but I don't see the full package. So, but I think next year there's going to be some guys that you need to watch out for at quarterback. So, if you're going to draft a quarterback, personally, I would probably wait till next year because there's going to be some guys that fall to the second and third round next year that would have been first rounders this year.
Yeah. Yeah, there's with a couple guys, I guess, coming out next year for QBs. Who was the guy that was supposed to be really good and Spencer Rattler?
Yeah.
He ended up going to he switched teams. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was all the buzz. He was going to be, before the season, the guy that was the number one pick. There's a couple other guys. I agree with you, especially on the QB front. I think there's going to be a lot of kind of backup guys. There's a couple guys I think who could be on the fringe of
Yeah.
like boomer bust. Like you look at guys like Ritter,
Mhm.
who kind of have that extra ability. Malik Willis, they're I think if they're guys who can develop, can maybe kind of be surprising. I just don't see any of these other guys being like even Kenny Pickett. I just don't see it. I don't see it in Carson Strong or Matt. I mean, maybe Matt Corral, maybe. Um, who else is out there? There's a few other guys too, but I don't know. I just don't see it. But anyways, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, James. Like I really
Well,
appreciate it. Um, and any last thoughts, man, on
well, I'm
everything?
going to be putting out content. I've got like 5 or 6 that I just haven't rendered out yet, and it's just, my life is complicated right now, so
Yeah,
got a lot of irons in the fire that require my immediate attention. So it's just really difficult. I'm moving out of the hotel.
woohoo!
Yeah, I'm moving out of the hotel. I've got an apartment we're going to be moving into temporarily. I've got, of course, my dad's in the hospital. Has been there for a while.
Yeah,
My parents are not getting any younger, So, that kind of stuff's going on. And, it just, dealing with insurance and, an 11-year-old who we're trying to get to a normal life, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, those things that have to take priority. Family has to take priority. Even though I love the Titans, and I think of everyone in here as my Titans family, life has to take precedence over all of that. So, but I do have them. They're sitting in here. I've recorded them, but I don't know, for you guys. For me, rendering and doing the video editing and doing the color correction and the sound and audio correction and stuff like that. It takes time. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
time that I just have not had. So I'm sorry to everybody who watches my videos. I promise you, I'm going to get them out hopefully within the next week or so that I can, when I'm as soon as I get moved in and get settled in over there a little bit. But at this point, it's kind of, uh, ooh, pray for me.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I think we can give you a pass, man.
yeah,
I think we can, in the chat can too, for sure. Something I wanted to show you guys before we get on out of here. So a lot of you might not even know this, but and I just happened to I just popped it on the screen. I'll share the screen with you guys. But so my grandfather and he died about a year and a few months ago now. And so my grandfather was a famous pro wrestler um, for years in Middle Tennessee. He was famous all over the Southeast. He was back from I would say the mid to late 60s to early 70s. My grandfather was a household name in Alabama and Georgia, Tennessee. Um, he wrestled with a lot of the greats. Rocky Johnson, who is The Rock's dad. He wrestled for Vince McMahon Sr. This was before the WWF. This was before it was a national thing. This was back in what they call the territory days. The Southeast at the time was the biggest wrestling territory. Memphis TV wrestling was the WWF of back then. That's what started how the WWF got their ideas and how they moved it on to what they did. That all started with Memphis wrestling. And Jerry the King Lawler was, like one of the first showmen in wrestling. And so anyways, my grandfather passed away. He's somebody that was very, very close. We were like best friends. And I just wanted to show you guys some old pictures and stuff. Now, if you Google his name, LENROSSI, he'll pop up everywhere. But these are some old pictures of my grandfather. He was huge. There's stories everywhere, all over Google, of him and things like that. This guy right here, James, his name was Bearcat Brown.
yeah.
And his real name's Matt Jewell, but he was my grandfather and him, Bearcat. They were the first ever interracial tag team in the South. And they did it in Birmingham, Alabama,
Oh,
in the middle of the race riots and
oh,
segregation. My grandfather said, and this is no joke, he said that they used to riot. The fans would riot the locker rooms. He said they would have to put metal beams and stuff to lock to hold the door shut. And they sold out, and it was a record to this day. They sold out the Birmingham arena like 40 weekends in a row because everybody wanted to see this. It was a big deal. I mean, they were turning people away, you know. And even in Memphis and stuff, it was a big deal at that time. And there were times where they would come out and my grandfather would paint himself black and Bearcat would paint himself white. And it was like a gimmick.
yeah.
And there's a story where and there's a video, there's a movie that's out called Memphis Heat. and it's all about the territory days. It almost got nominated for an Oscar for best documentary, but my grandfather's featured throughout it. Jerry the King Lawler, the Jerry the King Andy Kaufman feud, and all that. But there's a story my grandfather tells where he had just met Bearcat. They just started wrestling together, and they were riding down the road, and Bearcat would, a lot of times back then they would drink in the car and stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, Mr. Rossi, can I have, a swig of your whiskey or whatever? And he said, yeah, go ahead, And he'd take a swig, and he said, Mr. Rossi, can I have a swig? Oh, yeah, yeah. And don't call me Mr. Rossi. I'm Lynn. What are you talking about? And my grandfather would tell him, I don't see any color, man. You're just a friend of mine. And then they used to pull ribs on each other. They called it ribs, jokes. And one time Bearcat was behind him, a couple miles behind him or whatever. And Bearcat got a flat tire or whatever. So my grandfather pulls up to him, and he goes to help my grandfather change my grandfather's gonna help him change the tire or something, and he goes to change it for him, and I was trying to remember the gist of the joke, but oh no, my grandfather's tire blew out. That's what happened. My grandfather's tire blew out, and he's kicking the tire and he's cussing at the tire, and this was when they were together drinking. They weren't separate. That was they were together drinking, and they got out, and they had it was like their first car ride together, and he's kicking the tire, cussing at the tire, and he said this broke the ice, and Bearcat said, and yep, and there ain't another N-word person around here to help change it for you. Sorry, it took me a while to get there. I was trying to remember the rib, but it broke the ice. It broke the ice between them, and they were best friends for years. Man, they fought many matches, and it's just this was a magazine, a famous wrestling magazine. They were on the cover on. I mean, he was a super famous guy, man. I mean, he had a health food store for 45 years in Brentwood, Tennessee. And I miss him dearly, man. He was an incredible man. So
are we going to see you on WWE soon?
All my life, man, I had a lot of people ask me, did you ever wrestle? Me and my brother. And no, I mean, I played baseball. I played baseball, basketball, a little football. I was always too skinny to play football, but yeah, I mean, they didn't want us to get into the business. Now, believe it or not, my sister got into the business some, and she was like a promoter for a little bit, and but they never wanted us to get into the business because it's a hard business, man. It's like it's
lots
like
of travel.
Yeah, lots of travel. A lot of the times, and especially nowadays, because it's a nationwide thing now. It's not like back in the territory days, you could make a living doing wrestling because every territory had its champion. Every territory, the Midwest had their famous champions. The Southeast had their champions. The Northeast had their champions. WWE wasn't nothing back then. They were in the top half north of New York. They were nothing. Junior, Vince McMahon Jr. is the one who expanded the vision and blew it up like he did, but he was kind of part of it. But yeah, it's just it's a hard business to get in. It's like becoming a musician or anything, or becoming a pro football player. It's to make any money, you got to hit it right and get the right person to see you or find you or hear you. It's a difficult business.
I was listening to I think it was The Rock, and he was talking about that, and he was saying the key to the business is get in, make a name for yourself, and then get out. And he
Yeah.
said, once you make a name for yourself, get it, learn when people are trying to teach you something like, I think it was, I can't remember who he said it was. Someone took him under his wing and was explaining to him, look, learn how to play your character but play it well. Play it to where people believe that is really you.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, then you can go to Hollywood and you can get those jobs as an actor. And then you can hone that and you can become famous. And he did that. So, and this is what I would advise everybody out there. Look, um, when people criticize something that you do, don't take it as criticism. Take it as, I need to learn how to do this better.
Yeah.
Um, there are going to be guys, there are going to be people out there, and even on YouTube within your family or whatever, who are going to be haters. Haters are going to hate. That's their job. Their job is to hate. You don't
Yeah.
get mad when you don't get mad when a cop does his job. Well, you shouldn't get mad when a hater does his job, because haters going to hate. The more haters you have, the better you must be doing. It's that simple.
That's very true, man. That's
So,
very true.
but just take all criticism as, hey, this is what I need to get better for. This is how I need to get better. Um,
Yeah.
try to take it that way. Um, so I was listening to a buddy of mine. He said, one of the famous things that SEALs and Marines say: the only easy day was yesterday. So
Yeah.
if today was easy, then you're not trying hard enough. You're not going at it hard enough. You're not, you're not hitting that, you know? So um I say this to everyone out there just because, you're gonna get your haters. You're gonna get people on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter
Yeah.
who gonna talk just yada 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 yada. Let them, because it's going to help you if you go at it and you look at it and you say, this is what I need to improve on. Hey, let them. They're helping you. They're hating on you, but helping you. It's, I mean, you can't lose in that situation. And then there are just some people who are just rancid people.
Yeah.
Let
There
that be
are.
let that be a lesson to you to not be them.
Yeah.
And go out there, help kids. Because remember, at some point in time, we all gonna be old. So
Yeah.
if you're helping kids and the youth in your neighborhoods and the youth in your city, and going out there teaching them things and stuff like that, not all kids are going to be athletes. Some kids are just going to be brainiacs, and sit them down, teach them about business, teach them about these little, those things. If you're out there helping them, at some point in time, you're going to be old, and you're going to be in a nursing home, or some assisted, if we're lucky, we're in some kind of assisted living type place or whatever. You got two choices in this world. You can either have someone really really smart taking care of you, or you can have somebody really dumb taking care of you. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's why, when I'm on YouTube and I do my stuff, I always tell people, try to be nice, because being nice spreads. It can spread. It can be infectious. So,
Yeah.
that's my lesson for today. And I got on my soapbox for a second there. I had to come. Now I got to come off my soapbox. Um, we've got the Titans have a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to be updating. You might, you're going to hear it from some of us, on the network. I may not be able to do a video or something like that, and somebody else may be going on, and I might give them a text or a ring. So you're going to be hearing from the entire Upload network, from my
Yeah.
sources, their sources, and things like that. So watch all of us, because you're going to get nuggets and tidbits that some of us, like sometimes Rossi just doesn't have time to go on. Sometimes I don't have time to record something, or something like that, and he may be going live for a few minutes here or there. And so the entire Tighten Up Old Network, just we work together. So
Yeah.
watch all of us, subscribe, like to all of us, because you're going to be getting some juicy nuggets here in the next few weeks. I'm working my sources hard. I know Ross is
Yeah.
working his sources hard, and I know Upload's working his sources hard. So guess what? You're going to be getting a lot of juicy tidbits here or there. And just know that we help one another out. We do that. That's just the way we are. Because it helps the network. It doesn't just help one person; it helps the entire network. So
I'm excited about this upcoming draft, this off season. I think
yeah,
I'm excited about for what we got going on. I'm
yeah,
excited for our followers, our subscribers. We got a lot of stuff in the works for you guys. Not just tooting our own horn or nothing. We do. We're going to be ramping it up. And like James said, we're going to have some things coming out, some nuggets, some things like that. And you guys, I've released a few last year. James did, and I had a lot of haters on some of those, man. And guess what? It all proved out to be true. So I'm like 3 for 3 now. And I had a lot of help to get there, but anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, and
tighten up.
Holly left $50. So man, you're
Hey,
freaking amazing, Holly. And I think that finally you have to have 100 each month to get your money from YouTube. So that I think that put me at like I was at like 90 this month. So thank you, Holly. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. So tighten up, everybody. We will see
up.
you guys later. And thank you guys so much for all your support. Y'all rock. Tighten up.
Tighten up.